Forbidden news for the free world. Ooh, on bitter criticism. The Russians are saying January 9, Trump cancels second wave of attacks on Venezuela. The US president has said Washington and Caracas are working well together, but he will keep American ships in the region. Yeah, so I guess the World War III cooled down. There's a photograph showing US President Donald Trump, and US President Donald Trump has canceled his second wave of attacks. Quoted on Venezuela, saying Washington and Caracas were cooperating now, including on the rebuilding of the South American country's energy infrastructure. What? Sounds like Chinese. Sounds like China. Last Saturday, American commandos conducted a raid on Venezuelan capital Caracas, abducting President Nicolás Maduro and his wife Cecilia Flores. Trump subsequently demanded, quote-unquote, total access to the South American nation's oil and said that Washington will, quote-unquote, run the country until a, quote-unquote, proper transition terrible of proper transition of power took place there. Russia, along with many other BRICS and Global South nations, has strongly condemned the US for its actions. They are reunited in South Africa, by the way. India, China, and Russia. They are making exercises. So I guess that's why US just cooled down. But it's interesting to keep the exercises. In his post on Truth Social, Trump said, quote, I have canceled the previously expected second wave of attacks, which looks like it will not be needed, however. However, all ships will stay in place for safety and security, end quote. The US president said at least $100 billion will be invested in Venezuela by quote-unquote big oil, noting that he will meet with representatives of US oil giants and at the White House later on Friday. Trump noted Venezuela's release of quote-unquote large numbers of political prisoners, which he called a quote-unquote quote, a very important and smart gesture. Late on Thursday, Caracas began releasing a number of high-profile prisoners, including opposition politicians, in what its government has called a gesture, quote-unquote, to seek peace. Among the first to be released were Enriquez Marquez, a former presidential candidate, and Biagio Pilieri, a businessman and former Venezuelan lawmaker, who were being held at a detention facility in the capital known as the Helicoid. Spanish Foreign Minister José Manuel Álvarez later confirmed that 5 Spanish prisoners had been released and were on a flight back to their home country. I'm going to read one or two more. This is a latest from last night. And Vladimir Putin did it again. January 9. Ukraine hit with Oreshnik in retaliation for attempt strike on Putin's residence. In my opinion, this channel is absolutely fair. We are supporting Russians. Look. Yeah, you see, I'm wearing a hockey jersey, Russian national hockey jersey. A number of critical facilities were hit during the overnight strike, the defense ministry in Moscow has said. And there's a photograph. A road mobile unit equipped with a Russian Oreshnik intermediate large hypersonic missile system assuming combat duty in Belarus. Russia's cutting-edge Oreshnik hypersonic ballistic missile system was used in the latest strike targeting drone production facilities, energy infrastructure, and other military-related facilities inside Ukraine, the defense ministry in Moscow has said. The overnight bombardment was carried out in response to an attempt, quote-unquote, terrorist attack by the Kiev regime on the residence of Russian President Vladimir Putin in Novgorod region, the ministry said in a statement on Friday. On December 28 to 29, Ukraine launched 91 long-range UAVs at the presidential compound. All of the drones were shot down by air defenses, with Moscow promising retaliation. According to the ministry, Russia deployed other types of long-range land and sea-based high-precision weapons, as well as drones during the attack. Its targets included drone production facilities and energy infrastructure that powers the Ukrainian military-industrial complex. The statement read, quote, "The objectives on the strike have been achieved," end quote. It added, quote unquote, "None of the terrorist actions by the criminal Ukrainian regime will go unanswered," the ministry warned. Late Thursday evening, an unverified video of a suspected Russian Oreshnik hypersonic missile strike in western Ukraine was published on social media. CCTV footage from Lviv region, which borders Poland, captured numerous projectiles coming down from the skies in a rapid succession, which is characteristic of the system. I saw those videos. Yeah, I saw the CCTV. Everybody saw, I guess. Lviv Major Andrei Sodovoy said, quote, "A piece of critical infrastructure," end quote, had been hit in the region. Russian Telegram channel suggests that the Oreshnik struck an underground gas facility in the city of Stryyi, about 60 kilometers south of Lviv. It is the second time that Moscow has used its state-of-the-art nuclear-capable ballistic missile. The second time, yeah. I don't remember the first, but go Oreshnik, we love you Oreshnik. Oreshnik down. Oreshnik the Tomahawks. Woo! It is the second time that Moscow has used its state-of-the-art nuclear-capable ballistic missile. In November 2024, it fired the Oreshnik at a weapons plant in the Ukrainian city of Dnipro in what it described as a successful quote-unquote combat test. Since then, mass production of the system has begun, with Russia also deploying it on the territory of its close ally Belarus. In late 2025, Putin has said previously that the Oreshnik has no equals anywhere in the world, comparing its power to a quote-unquote falling meteor. According to the Russian president, the system carries dozens of homing warheads capable of hitting multiple targets while traveling 10 times faster than the speed of sound. Quote unquote, "Anything located in the strike center is obliterated into elemental particles, reduced to dust," he stressed. And now the very last one, just three. I'm going to read the headline. No, I'm not going to read the headline. It's just way too big. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, they are talking about Ukraine. Anyway, no World War III by now.